Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another video. It is the live game review of Everton's 3-0 defeat to Wolves yesterday. It's like Groundhog Day, isn't it? It's like coming and sitting and talking about an Everton game where we've been absolutely torn apart left, right and centre and put in another shocking, disgraceful performance. Listen, yesterday was woeful. It was absolutely woeful. Again, like I said in the instant match reaction, I didn't think it would get much worse than the first half against Southampton, to be honest with you, and we managed to nick a point out of that game somehow. But yesterday, again, we come up against a better team. We come up against a team with more quality than Southampton had, with more energy, a team that are in a better position in the league, a team that have done very, very well this season. And I think the inevitable happened, really. The first half was okay to a point. I think we nullified them to a certain degree with the 5 at the back formation, which we'll go into talking about in just a second. But then as soon as they got that first goal, even though it was a penalty, it was a silly penalty to give away, it was right on the edge of half-time, so we had a full 15-minute break and then a full 45 minutes to get back into the game and bounce back. You pretty much knew as soon as that penalty went in that, the game was pretty much done from there. Everton haven't looked like a good side since arguably the second half of the Leicester game. Obviously, we bounced back since the return of the Premier League. We had a good result against Liverpool, a draw there, which again, considering we hadn't played football in so long, was a decent result. We beat Norwich, again, wasn't the greatest performance, but we won the game. Scored 2 in the first half against Leicester, looked really, really promising. And then the second half against Leicester, we sort of tailed away a little bit, and I think a lot of us put it down to the fitness of the players and playing a lot of games in such a short period of time after not playing at all for 2 or 3 months. And then the Tottenham game was dreadful, and any aspirations and any hopes of potentially finishing in a European position or potentially pushing for that Europa League spot were absolutely squashed after that Tottenham result. And then again, the Southampton game was woeful. We managed to squeeze a point out of that game somehow, and yesterday was just the tip of the iceberg, wasn't it? And like I said, I'm still very much of the opinion as to, can we just finish the season off now with nothing to play for? You look at the remaining games we've got Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Sheffield United. 2 of them teams we've seen win games yesterday. Aston Villa beating Crystal Palace in a very difficult game for them. Palace are a good side, beating them 2-0. Bournemouth turning Leicester over 4-1 from absolutely out of nowhere. And then obviously we know how good Sheffield United have been this season. They've been fantastic. So we're coming up against 2 sides that are fighting relegation and that have just come off the back of big results, and a team that are fighting to get in the Champions League. I'm really, really not looking forward to the next 3 games. Certainly if the last couple of performances are to go by. Yesterday was really, really poor again. Like I said, I'll try and be as constructive as possible. I'll try and not let the emotion get the best of me. I know a lot of you will have seen the instant match reaction yesterday. I did get really emotional, and I just want to say a big thanks for all of the support on the instant match reaction. Gained a load of subscribers from it. Got loads of likes as well, so I want to say a massive thank you. We're going to go in depth on some of the things I talked about in the reactions, such as Jordan Pickford, the midfield, and everything in today's live game review, of course. But I'm going to try and not get as emotional, because I understand that it's sometimes when the emotion takes over, you don't make much sense really. But it's hard not to when you go and you sit down and you watch your side put in such a poor performance as that. Again, another Everton game where we've sat and we've watched a load of players waltz around a football pitch and not really look arse, not really look like they care, not really look like they've got any aspiration, any desire, any heart, any passion in them. Now, I know that there's tiredness that comes into it, and I know the players are probably a little bit worn out because of the amount of games that they played in such a short period of time, but that's no excuse for me as to some of the performances that I seen yesterday and some of the players' performances that I seen of walking around. Gylfi Sigurdsson doing as usual, pointing at other players to pass the ball to anybody but himself. Tom Davies playing 5-yard passes out to play when the fella who he's meant to be passing to is free, 5 yards away from him. It's just not good enough whatsoever. And I want to start the live game review by talking about a comment that Coleman actually made directly after the game. Coleman was interviewed, I can't remember who it was by, probably by Sky Sports or whoever, directly after the game, and he was asked about the performance. And whenever Coleman's interviewed after a defeat, you get the usual soundbite out of him as, that's not good enough, the fans don't deserve that, we'll go back and we'll look at ourselves and we'll improve next time and we'll look to play better next week. And then the next week we get battered again, and then he comes out and he recycles the same shite. And he come out yesterday, and I think when people first saw that Seamus had done an interview, I think there was a few people saying, oh well, there's no point in listening to it, it's just going to be the same shite. I listened to Seamus's interview and it seemed different to me. Don't get me wrong, some people still felt like it was just the same old excuses, the same old sound sound bites, but it felt different. It felt like Seamus was coming out and indirectly pointing the finger at some of those names in that dressing room. He didn't say anybody's name, which I'm happy he didn't say anybody's name, because it caused more issues than it solved, but it almost sounded like he was saying that there's a few players in that dressing room who just simply do not give a fuck. They simply don't want to play for this football club. They've got don't desire. They weren't putting the effort in. They weren't trying their hardest, and it wasn't good enough. He basically come out and said something along the lines of, we can't put performances in like that. The manager won't take that, and if we turn in many more performances, it'll be see you later and you'll be out the door no matter who you are. We need to go home. We need to take a long, hard look at ourselves and decide if we're good enough to play for this football club or not. And like I said, in that speech, it did sound like he was sort of pointing the finger at a couple of players, and Seamus doesn't get off scot-free from this, by the way. Seamus, again, okay, he hasn't been awful since the return of the Premier League. He hasn't put in a dreadful performance per se, but in regards to the fact that he's the captain of the football club, his leadership hasn't been there when it needed to be there. He hasn't dragged us through the tough times by leading by example. He hasn't picked players up. He's not given instructions on the pitch. But it's not about Seamus Coleman or picking on individual players, but that interview itself and the comments that Seamus made did sound like he was referring to a few players in that dressing room who just don't want to play for this football club, who aren't invested, who aren't giving it 110%, who haven't got the desire, who haven't got the passion, who haven't got the urgency. And it sounded like an interview of a player thinking, my career at this football club isn't guaranteed just because I'm the captain and just because I've been here a long time, and neither is anybody else in that dressing room. If we play like that, the manager will tell us see you later. And then he was asked by the interviewer, have you been told to say that, as the manager said? And he said no. I'm saying that off the back of my own back. I'm saying that myself, and that shows that in the dressing room and around the training pitch, Carlo Ancelotti is very much obviously stamping his feet down and saying that he won't accept those performances. And I'm not willing to accept those performances as a fan. Like I said, I really do sit here thinking, I just can't wait for the season to be over. I do not know if I can be arsed watching the next 3 games, especially the teams that we play. We play 2 sides fighting relegation. If we play Villa and turn up like we did in the second half of yesterday's game, or even in the majority of the first half, we'll get absolutely turned over by Villa and Bournemouth, and Sheffield United will have a field day with us. They'll have an absolute field day. It'll be one of the easiest games of the season. So I'm not looking forward to it. But anyway, going into the game, like I said, that touches on Seamus' comments a little bit, and the instant sort of feeling, even the day after. Like I said, it doesn't get better, does it? It really doesn't get better. But going into the game, Carlo Ancelotti made a few changes, of course, changed the lineup a little bit, changed the formation a little bit, which is something that not only he hasn't done an awful lot, but he said he wouldn't do an awful lot as well. He spoke, I think it was before the Tottenham game. It might have been before the game against Southampton, and he said, "Listen, I'm not going to do it I'm not going to change the formation. There's no need to change the formation. We'll look at doing that at the end of the season." He changed the formation. He went for a 3 at the back or a 5 at the back, whatever you want to call it. For me, it was a 5 at the back. The idea that I took out of Carlo Ancelotti's formation and tactics for yesterday's game, certainly in the first half, was to completely nullify Wolves' strengths, completely nullify their attack, completely nullify the creative midfield, sit your 5 defenders and 2 or 3 midfielders sort of behind the ball or in and around that area, and whenever they break, you've got enough defensive cover. And to be honest, I thought Everton and Carlo Ancelotti done that quite well for a lot of the first half. Don't get me wrong, Wolves had a lot of the ball, but they didn't create any clear-cut opportunities with it. They had 1 or 2, one where they threw a ball into the box and Jordan Pickford made a howler of it, which ultimately was an easy. I'm not even going to class that as a chance, because for any other normal goalkeeper, he'd have caught that and that would have been a nothingness. But it bounces off Jordan Pickford and ultimately becomes a half chance. And then one where a little bit of luck sees the winger, the Wolves winger get in. I think I can't remember who it was on that right hand side. It might have been Walcott, nips the ball into him purely accidentally, and then he ends up getting a shot away and Pickford gets down at his near post. But other than that, Wolves didn't have an awful lot going forward. He didn't create an awful lot of opportunities, and that was because, like I said, the 5 at the back that Everton played was purely there to nullify them, and for me to get into half time at 0-0 and sort of assess it then. Obviously Carlo Ancelotti put Leighton Baines in and Theo Walcott. I thought it was Again, I'm not going to sit here and criticise Carlo Ancelotti because I'm in no position to criticise Carlo Ancelotti. And like I said, I will sit and criticise every single one of those players wearing an Everton shirt before I criticise Carlo Ancelotti, because I'm not willing to sit here and go against another manager and put up with performances like that from those players, because ultimately those players are the ones putting the shirts on. Those players are the ones coming on the pitch. And I know that in Carlo Ancelotti we've got an absolute world-class manager and the best manager we've had in absolute years. So I'm not going to sit here and criticise him overly, but I was, you know, when the team come out and when obviously it was set up and it was clear that whoever the Everton admin is, he didn't really understand what the formation was going to be, and Carlo Ancelotti wasn't giving anything away. And I don't mind that. I don't necessarily mind Carlo Ancelotti turning around and saying, listen, you know, I'm not telling you, it's 11 players, figure it out yourself, because it means that he's not giving anything away to anybody. When he set it up, obviously, it looked like it was Luca Dean as part of a defensive three. He was the left side of the defensive three. Michael Keane was the right-hand side. And then, of course, you had Leighton Baines playing left wing-back and Theo Walcott playing right wing-back. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I first seen that layout, I wasn't best pleased, because I just felt like Luca Dean would do an awful lot better as a left wing back, and Leighton Baines would have probably been preferred to play in the left-hand side of that centre defence partnership. I just felt like those two could have been switched around. I felt that if Luca Dean was playing the left wing back position, he'd have been able to get up and down an awful lot more. Obviously, he's got the youth on his side, and when comparing him to Leighton Baines, he's got the energy, he's got the pace. For some reason, Carlo Ancelotti went with Leighton Baines on the wing back position, and Luca Dean as sort of the defensive cover, and maybe that's because he trusts Luca Dean a little bit more defensively. Michael Keane playing the right-hand side of the defence, I thought he struggled, to be honest with you. Again, he doesn't look confident when he has to play on the sort of and dominate one side of the pitch. Certainly, you know, when he's playing with somebody like a Theo Walcott in front of him who doesn't give an awful lot of defensive cover. Theo playing right wing-back again, got forward a couple of times, but put a couple of good balls into the box, but ultimately didn't really do anything else in terms of defensive cover. Wasn't really there an awful lot to back up Michael Keane, and I think that's why Michael Keane struggled a little bit, because again, like I said, Theo Walcott wasn't there really to back him up or to help him out. So again, like I said, when I seen the team and when I seen the lineup, I was a little bit worried, because not worried, but I felt like, you know, Carlo Ancelotti would have been better putting Luca Dean on the sort of left wing back position and leaving Leighton Baines in the centre and having him play sort of left side centre back. He'd have offered a little bit more cover then, of course, defensively, and it wouldn't have been that strain on getting forward. But like I said, defensively for the first half, I think the tactic from Carlo Ancelotti, listen, it wasn't entertaining, it wasn't brilliant, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, we won't be entertaining and we won't be brilliant between now and the end of the season, because we simply haven't got the players to play like that. So the tactic for me literally was to just nullify their strengths and get into half-time at 0-0 and then assess then. And I think in terms of attacking, I think the tactic was to hit them on the counter-attack and try and break them down that way and try and hit them, you know, in a surprise counter-attack. Obviously, that never worked. Again, we go through the first half. We continue to sort of plod on a little bit. We don't have much of the ball whatsoever. Wolves having an awful lot of the ball, creating opportunities. They set the pace really, really early on within the first 5 or 10 minutes. You could tell that they were the team that were going to control the game. And I think Everton were happy in allowing them the ball and happy in allowing them to run at us and control the game a little bit. And as long as they weren't creating any clear-cut opportunities, and as long as they weren't sort of putting the ball in the back of the net, I think Everton and Carlo Ancelotti were happy to allow that to happen. And then, of course, you know, a couple of minutes before the end of the first half, Luca Dean gives away a penalty. Now, I've watched it again. I've watched it back a couple of times. I think it's a penalty. I do. I know a lot of people won't agree with that. I know a lot of people will say, oh, there's not enough contact, or he goes down too easily. Listen, I think it's a penalty. I think he's silly to put his feet in that position, in that area of the pitch, and ultimately the player's looking for it, yes. Ultimately the player throws himself into Luca Dean, yes. But he still puts his feet in that position, and he still allows himself to make contact with the player without making any direct contact with the ball. That is always going to be given every single day of the week in this league. The referees are dreadful in this league, so they're always going to give a penalty for that sort of situation. And Anthony Taylor did give a penalty, and all of a sudden, you know, a half that I think we'd have taken at half-time. If we'd have gone in 0-0, I think we'd have assessed it and gone, yeah, okay, we're not brilliant, we're not creating anything, there's nothing in the midfield once again, but that's all to be, you know, known. We haven't got a midfield, we're never going to have anything in the midfield, we're not creative, you know, we very rarely create opportunities, so to go in at 0-0 against a very good Wolves side, a very on-form Wolves side, you take that. But obviously we concede the penalty, they scored it, it goes in 1-0, and I think then from that moment on, the tactic had to change. From that moment on, obviously just before the penalty was scored, Yerry Mina had to go off because he picked up a knock. So he went off. Seamus Coleman, I think, come on in his place at that time. And then all of a sudden, Michael Keane sort of fed back into the centre of defensive role, and Seamus Coleman played obviously on the right-hand side of it. And like I said, from that point on and in half-time, I think the tactics had to change for Everton. It all of a sudden went from, right, okay, sit back and soak up the pressure, and we'll play that 5 at the back and hope to hit them on the counter-attack with the pace of, a Theo Walcott and with the energy of an Anthony Gordon. It then went to, right, okay, we sort of have to revert back to a 4-4-2 and go at them a little bit more, because I don't think Carlo Ancelotti wants to be seen as an Everton manager that is getting beat 1-0 and still playing a 5 at the back in order to soak up pressure to try and come away from the game with just a 1-0 defeat. I think he wanted to actively go out there and get back into the game, and ultimately that was where the problems came. Carlo Ancelotti actively wanted to go back out and get back into the game and get something out of it, and the players on the pitch simply didn't want to go back out and get something out of the game. They were happy to play in that defensive formation, they were happy to play those defensive tactics, and they didn't want any part of it. We go in at half time, and like I said, it was poor. We didn't have anything in the game. We barely touched the ball in the first half. Wolves had a lot of the ball, but we went in 1-0. It was a very, very big opportunity for us to pick ourselves back up, go out there, hit them on the break and hurt them, utilise our strengths. I said it yesterday in the instant match reaction, stop trying to play the ball across the floor. We are not good enough to play the ball across the floor. We simply are not good enough whatsoever. Played along the top. We played one long ball. We played one long ball against Southampton and it come across the top from Luka Deed, and, Richarlison finished it like that. Play the long ball, utilise your strengths, which is the height of Calvert-Lewin, the quality of Richarlison. So we come out in the second half, and like I said, big opportunity for us to get back into the game. Carlo Ancelotti brings on young Jared Branthwaite for his Premier League debut. Just want to remind everybody that about 4 or 5 months ago, Jared Branthwaite was like 4th choice in a League 2 side. So just keep that in mind when thinking about his debut, and obviously him coming on yesterday. So Jared Branthwaite comes on and we sort of try and revert back to that regular formation and try and get at them, and within 2 minutes of the second half, Branthwaite gives away a silly free kick on the edge of the box. I don't know whether it was a free kick or not. I haven't bothered to even look again because I'm not really that arsed. Gives away a free kick, and then ultimately it's his man, arguably, that pulls away and ends up scoring the goal, and it gets headed in. I'm not going to blame Jared Branthwaite too much because, again, there's arguments that the free kick shouldn't have been a free kick, and realistically, yes, he lets his man go, but again, defensively, it was shocking altogether, wasn't it? Let's be perfectly honest. Let his man go. Wolves scored, and at that point, 2-0 down, 2 minutes into the second half, you pretty much know at that point that, we'd have been very, very lucky and very, very fortunate in that game, and it would have been a massive surprise if we'd have scored 1 goal. We're not scoring 2, never mind 3, to try and come back in and win it. And again, there was no reaction. I said it against Southampton. You expect a reaction. You expect the players to go, right, okay, we've conceded, get your head up, react, go at them. But there was none of that whatsoever. Again, the passing was dreadful. The midfield was dreadful. The attack was poor. Yes, they didn't have anything. Yes, there was no creativity, but they seemed like they weren't actively trying to force anything. And again, I'm not going to sit here and massively say Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison because it's tough for them. Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison shouldn't have to be going into the midfield and picking the ball up. They shouldn't have to be creating their own opportunities. The players around them should be creating opportunities for them. But they weren't. And again, that meant we had nothing going forward. The midfield was absolutely absent as usual. The defence was struggling because we were getting bombarded left, right and centre. Obviously, we'd already conceded 2 goals, so it was very, very tough for us to get into the game at that point. From that point on, I think Jared Branthwaite played okay, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he fit into that system quite well. He didn't really make another mistake. He put in quite a strong tackle at one point towards the back end of the game as well, which was decent. But like I said, other than that little spell, sort of baptism of fire, if you like, coming on and conceding a free kick, and then ultimately it's his man that is let go for the game, for the goal. you do have to feel for the lad, you do. But again, I'm not going to hold anything against them because the entire team yesterday was dreadful, certainly in that second half. And then again, we plod on. Wolves are just attacking us constantly. I think Wolves saw an opportunity to make a fool of us, really. I think Wolves saw an opportunity to really embarrass us yesterday, and they were continuing to plod on. They were continuing to try and attack, continuing to try and break the ball forward. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, please do hit the like button. It does only take a second. Don't forget to subscribe as well to the channel. And we go 2-0 down, and again, we're just coming under constant pressure. I think we had the ball in the opposition area once within the first hour of the game, 2-0 down, and we've had the ball in the opposition area once within the first hour. One touch in the opposition area in an hour of a game of football is utterly embarrassing. It is absolutely shocking. It's dreadful. It's embarrassing. It's woeful. It's beyond any word that you can possibly describe it. It makes you just want to not watch football again, at least for a couple of weeks and a couple of months, at least until Carlo Ancelotti can bring his own players in, because that statistic alone is absolutely shocking. But anyway, we're 2-0 down. Like I said, we're coming under constant pressure, and we're not creating anything. It was pretty much known at that point that it was just a case of don't get embarrassed, and maybe try and hit them on the break. Maybe the likes of Bernard coming on or Moise Keane coming on can affect the game. And then, Wolves have another opportunity to break forward. They get through our defensive area, and a tame shot, at most a tame shot. I think it's hit poorly by the Wolves attacker. Should be an easy save for Jordan Pickford. He should just jump on it and be done with it, and that's it. But he doesn't. He jumps on it, over it, it goes under his legs, and then he has to scramble it off the line. Now, this was the second clear mistake in the game that Jordan Pickford made, and I just want to make it clear because I got a little bit of stick off the instant match reaction yesterday because of my opinions on Jordan Pickford, or the way I spoke about his performance. I think his performance overall wasn't that awful, to be honest with you. He made two absolute howlers, one in the first half where a ball's coming towards him from across, and he literally just has to pick it up. It bounces off his chest or something, bounces off his knee and goes out. And then that one in the second half where the ball goes under his legs from a stupid position and he has to climb it off the line. But as well as those mistakes, he did make a couple of good saves as well in the game. He kept us in the game at one point. He made a really good save. He made a good save down to his left, like I said, when Walcott hit that ball into the attacker. So I think overall his performance was probably an average yesterday. He made a couple of mistakes. He made a couple of decent saves. He was at fault for the third goal massively, which we'll talk about in a second. But the other two, he couldn't do anything about. He couldn't do anything about the penalty, and the second goal was a good header by poor defensive marking, so he couldn't do anything about that either. But, like I said, he lets the ball go through his legs and he clams it off the line. Now, this is the second time within, I don't even know how long it's been because the games have been coming in that fast. A week, hasn't it? This is the second time in 3 games where Jordan Pickford has allowed a ball, an easy ball, a ball probably travelling less than 5 miles per hour that he could just jump on and pick up easily. He's allowed it to go under his legs, and it's very nearly caused the goal. The first one was against Leicester, which if it had gone in would have meant we wouldn't have won the game, and Michael Keane had to climb it off the goal line, and the second one was yesterday against Wolves, and he managed to get his fingertips on it just before the entire ball crossed the line. Now again, those mistakes are worrying. They are worrying. Because at the end of the day, top level goalkeeper being paid however much money he's being paid, England's number one, which I think is ridiculous. He shouldn't be England's number one. He should be dropped from that. Maybe he'll get his head back in gear. Maybe he'll get his head together if he was dropped from the England role. But a goalkeeper of that experience, a goalkeeper who's got that much responsibility, shouldn't be allowing those mistakes to happen. They're Sunday League level mistakes that you'd expect from a Sunday League goalkeeper. I play Sunday League football, and if my goalkeeper for my team made that mistake, I'd be furious. I'd be absolutely furious. Jordan Pickford makes it, like I said, he clams it off the line, and then it's reaction. It's his reaction to it, and like I said, his reaction provoked my reaction through emotion yesterday, but I'm still absolutely, utterly appalled by the way he reacted to that situation. He clams it off the line, and instead of going, fucking hell, I've got away from one there, or thinking, right, okay, how do I avoid that happening again? Because that's happened twice in 2 games, so clearly me handling or me concentration when a ball's coming into me, clearly it's not quite there. How do I avoid that? He doesn't. The first thing he does is looks directly at the camera, behind the goal or whatever it is, and pulls a tongue out. Now that absolutely pissed me off because we were 2-0 down at that point. We'd had nothing in the game. We were being outplayed once again in the midfield. The midfield may as well have been sat in ours watching the game on the couch with me. We had nothing going forward. We weren't creating anything. We were getting bombarded left, right and centre, and he thinks that is the prime time after making a ridiculous mistake to pull tongues and laugh at the camera. No, mate, no, that's not the time to do that. That type of attitude is shocking, because for me, all that says is that he's not asked about the mistakes he's making because he's too arrogant to realise the mistakes he's making. And as long as they don't come to anything, he'll just laugh it off and smile it off. Now, I don't mind a player that's confident. I do not like a player that's arrogant. And I certainly do not like a player that's arrogant and he's making consistent mistakes. We've seen, you know, goalkeepers, the best goalkeepers in the world, they tip balls over the bar and they're furious with themselves because they haven't managed to catch it. Or a ball comes at them and it swirls a couple of times and they manage to knock it out for a corner and they're fuming because it's gone out for a corner. Jordan Pickford makes a dreadful mistake. The ball goes through his legs. He scrambles it on the line. He should be lifting his head up and going, fucking hell, sorry about that, to his teammate. That was dreadful, sorry about that. And looking for the next man and getting his head in the game and getting concentrated. There's no concentration with the lad. I've never seen an Everton player in a long time lack as much concentration as he does. And I stick with what I said in the instant match reaction. I'd take him out and he wouldn't be playing another game in this season because his head's simply not there. He is not concentrating. Don't get me wrong. I think Jordan Pickford is a good goalkeeper on his day. A really good goalkeeper. I think he's made some fantastic saves this season as well. He saved Marco Silva on a lot of occasions with his saves, but there's something going on which just absolutely fucks with me, and that is that the cheek and the arrogance and the sheer thinking that he can smile at the camera and pull tongues at the camera in that situation when he's just very nearly conceded one of the most embarrassing goals that he will ever concede in his career by letting a tame shot go under his legs. That is not the time to smile. That is not the time to laugh. Laugh it off. If you win a game of football, laugh it off. If we're winning 5-0 at that point, have a little smile, because we'll probably all go, fucking hell, it's a good job we're winning 5-0 there. He nearly fucked up his clean sheet. We were getting beat 2-0. It was one of the worst performances I've seen all season. There was no desire, there was no energy, there was no fight, there was no passion, and you're laughing at the camera when you've made that mistake. Not the time, mate, not the time. And like I said, I'd put Stecklenberg in. I would put Stecklenberg in. And people were talking about João Virginia. I'm not too sure on João Virginia because, again, he's a young goalkeeper. At least if Stecklenberg goes in and concedes 4, he's fucking off at the end of the season. He's had his career. He's done his time. He's going to play his career out in his hometown. Brilliant. If João Virginia come in and conceded 4, it might ruin his career because of the feeling that he'd have and the lack of confidence and the knocking confidence. Jordan Pickford just needs to be taken out of this team because his head just isn't there. It's just not there. And again, like I said, I like him. I do. I think he's a decent goalkeeper on his day. But at the moment, no. His head's not there. His arrogance is far too much. He's not taking on board the mistakes he's making, which is why he's constantly making them. And he's not asked. Quite frankly, he's not asked about the mistakes he's making, which is why he's pulling tongues at the camera and having a laugh at the camera. He done it the other week. When he made the mistake against Leicester. He let the ball go under his legs. Michael Keane had to clear it off the line. And he looked at Michael Keane and laughed. And Michael Keane looked at him as if to say, who the fuck are you laughing at? Do you want to understand the mistake you've just made? Don't be fucking laughing at me. Get your head in the game. Michael Keane didn't even say anything, but it was the look that Michael Keane gave him, and Pickford's face just dropped because you could see he thought, oh, he's not fucking happy with me here. I shouldn't have done that. And that's the reaction we should have. Jordan Pickford should have been smacking the post there, or kicking the post, or going, fucking hell, sorry lads. He shouldn't have been laughing and smiling at the camera. It's not the time to do it. Anyway, we get away with that one. He clears it away. Again, in typical Everton fashion, Wolves come back at us. I think we had a couple of shots, one shot in the game, maybe clear-cut opportunity with Richarlison coming off the wing to try and curl it in. Nothing much came of it. It went wide. And again, we didn't really make anything of it. Again, Wolves continuing to come at us, continuing to break. They get past again. Tom Davies plays this mad offside strap where basically there's 2 Wolves players on him, Traore, and I can't remember who else. I think it might have been Jimenez, maybe, I don't know. And basically the idea for Tom Davies is to sack them down and to make sure that they don't get anywhere near the ball, and he sort of just stands and watches them. They break, the shot comes in from the side, and Pickford's beaten at his near post again, and again it's another mistake. It's another mistake from Jordan Pickford. And if he hadn't laughed at the camera in that situation, a lot of Evertonians would probably go, well, right, okay, he's been beaten at his near post, but again, the defence is being played through far too easily, the midfield's being ripped to shit, he hasn't been at fault for the other 2 goals, so whatever. But it's the laughing at the camera again, and then 5 minutes later he lets a ball in at his near post. It's not good enough. It simply isn't good enough. And like I said, I don't just want to go in at Jordan Pickford, because I think there's other players that need to be held accountable for. Again, the midfield. Again, I'm sick of talking about the midfield, but I'm going to talk about them because they were dreadful again. So we go 3-0 down, and like I said, throughout the entire game, certainly in that second half when it became apparent that we needed to get back into the game, there was one clear, clear reason as to why we were getting our asses handed to us once again, and it was the same reason as the one in the Southampton game. It was the same reason as the one in the Spurs game, and that is we simply do not have midfielders. We don't have midfielders. I'm sorry, but Tom Davies and Gylfi Sigurdsson aren't midfielders. They're just not. What do they do? Tell me what Tom Davies and Gylfi Sigurdsson do. Now, you can sit here and say, oh, Gylfi Sigurdsson's been one of the most creative players in the Premier League for the last 5 years. I'm not arsed. I'm really not asked. Tell me what Gylfi Sigurdsson and Tom Davies do, because they don't get about the pitch. They don't throw tackles in. They don't put themselves about. They don't play with heart. They don't play with desire. They don't play with fight. They don't play with passion. And when they've got the ball, they haven't got the ability. Tom Davies, the amount of balls he put out of play, the amount of balls he gave away to Wolves players yesterday was utterly embarrassing. Embarrassing. Gylfi Sigurdsson done nothing. Nothing all game. I'm not surprised. I'm surprised there's not been another fact come out that he spent however many minutes without touching the ball. Again, there's pictures coming out where he's free. He's a free man. He's standing in the middle of the park with no one on him, yet he's pointing to other players for players to pass it to somebody else. He does not want to be on the pitch. And with our midfield at the moment, I think it's a case of a midfielder that's not good enough in Tom Davies and just isn't up to it, and a midfielder who isn't asked. And a midfielder who's not got the talent but wants to work, and a midfielder who has got the talent but doesn't want to work and doesn't want to use it. And they just don't mix well whatsoever. And none of our midfield pairings mix well. Gomez doesn't mix with Davies or Sigurdsson. Delph doesn't mix with Davies or Sigurdsson. None of our midfielders work together. And again, it's going to be dreadful viewing until Carlo Ancelotti can bring in his own players. And until Carlo Ancelotti can bring in his own midfield, because I'm sick of sitting here talking about the midfield, because once again, it's just absolutely embarrassing. It's dreadful. It was non-existent yesterday. It was absolutely non-existent. I said it yesterday. I could probably only sit here and talk about them for a minute, maybe a minute and a half, and they both played 90 minutes. Now again, there was people questioning Carlo Ancelotti. I'm not going to sit here and question Carlo Ancelotti, but there is got to be a thought process behind keeping both of those players on for 90 minutes, considering they've done absolutely fuck all in the game. And it's another game where they've done absolutely fuck all, by the way. And listen, I'm happy that, Alex Iwobi wasn't in there from the start. It was Anthony Gordon, and I really do think now for the remainder of the last 3 games of the season, well, we've got 3 games to go, and we've got fuck all to play for. Play Anthony Gordon, play Ellis Sims, play Dennis Erdin, and play Benny Beningame. If they're not good enough and we get beat, so what? The players that are meant to be good enough and the players that are meant to be leading the side, the senior players, your Gylfi Sigurdssons, your Iwobis, they're not doing anything. They're simply not doing enough whatsoever. And again, yesterday it proved that the midfield was atrocious yesterday. Played through again far too easily. I said, Wolves will only have to look at our midfield and think, right, okay, if we get the ball in possession and we utilise our passing range, we'll be able to play through these really, really easily, because, they're not good enough. And they did. They exposed our lack of pace, they exposed our lack of energy, and they exposed our lack of desire. And as Seamus Coleman said at the end of the game, practically, there's far too many players who aren't playing for this football club, and who aren't asked, and who aren't giving it all. And again, I'm not going to sit here and name names particularly, but I can pretty much have got a good idea of who he's referring to there. It's simply not good enough. And don't get me wrong, these players might be sitting there with the thoughts of the, holidays and sitting on the beach, if you like, is the saying. And Jamie Carragher said it yesterday, these players are already looking forward to next season. Well, I hope they're looking forward to next season in another club, at another team, because there's 85% of those players should not be looking forward to next season in an Everton shirt, because they're not good enough to play in an Everton shirt. They're really, really not. And like I said, you only have to look at our last 3 games, Villa, Sheffield United and Bournemouth. I see us picking up maybe a point out of those 3 games if we're lucky. Sheffield United, they'll absolutely pummel us from pillar to post, and Bournemouth and Villa, you've just seen the both of them yesterday get 2 really, really good wins, fighting against relegation, turning up, fighting with desire. Teams play Everton now. There's a saying at a Finch Farm, and it's it's on the wall, and it says, hard work beats talent if talent doesn't work hard. Now, I'm not saying we've got an awful lot of talent, to be honest with you, because I don't think we have. But one thing that we have definitely not got is hard work. And any side that comes and plays Everton and works hard and fights and has the desire will beat us. Whether it be this season or whether it be until Carlo Ancelotti can bring his own players in and, create his own mentality at the football club and get rid of these jokers who aren't arsed and who've got no desire and who've got no passion. We're gonna be beaten by these teams, because you look at the likes of Burnley, Southamptons, even Sheffield United. Those teams haven't got better players on paper than Everton, and I don't like saying on paper because I hate watching football on paper. But I mean, in regards to 11 versus 11, there's not much difference in them. But the teams are much better because they play for each other, they fight for each other, they work for each other. We don't. Our players are simply not asked. They're not asked about each other. I do think they're only asked about turning up and getting paid. And ultimately, they showed that again yesterday. A dreadful, gutless, woeful performance by Everton saw us get turned to pieces by a team who are much better than us. Ultimately, that's it. They are much, much better than us. They played through the midfield far too easily. They exposed our defensive frailties. Again, the 5 at the back, I think, was a right idea by Carlo Ancelotti. But ultimately, as soon as we conceded that first goal, we haven't got the players to turn it on. We haven't got the players to swap to a 4-4-2 and go and create something and try and win the game. We just haven't got the talent whatsoever. And I think that showed yesterday. Far too many players not asked. Far too many players don't care. Far too many players don't want to be a part of this team or this football club. And if that's the case, fuck off. Just fuck off. I'm not interested. Like I said, Jordan Pickford, I'm not at the stage of sell him definitely yet, but I'm at the stage of he doesn't put an Everton shirt on for the rest of the season. Give Stecklenberg a go. Just to make Pickford think, fucking hell, my position isn't absolutely solidified here. I need to start working harder. I need to start getting my head down. Again, he needs to be dropped from the England setup as well. That's 100% necessary, because his head wouldn't even fit in my room at the moment. Midfield, we all know what needs to be done. We all know what needs to be done in that midfield. 2 centre midfielders needed as a necessity in the summer. Possibly a right winger as well. Look, to talk positively, briefly, like I said, if we're going to take any positive out of yesterday, which is tough to do, I thought Anthony Gordon was fantastic again. I thought he played really, really well. Again, another solid game, another player that looked like he wanted to be there. Luca Dean as well, other than the penalty that he gave away, I thought he had an okay game in terms of getting forward. Defensively, there's still a worry there, but in terms of getting forward, I thought he done okay. Even Jared Branthwaite, like I mentioned before, taking away that minute and 2 minutes of madness when he first come on, we shouldn't hold that against him, because, again, we're not really in a position as a club to hold mistakes against players like that, certainly not young players who have only just broken into, Premier League football. I thought he composed himself really, really well, and I thought he had a decent game from that point on, to be honest with you. Didn't have an awful lot to do, but I thought he had a decent game. Wolves, of course, had a couple of other opportunities. We'll dive into the live comments, by the way, in just a second. If you're wondering why I'm not, we will get into them. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second if you're new to the channel as well. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribers have been flying up recently, so thank you all so much for that. We're flying towards 2,000 now. Really, really do appreciate it. Share the video, share the stream. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Wolves had another opportunity, obviously breaking down that left-hand side again. It become quite a tendency for Wolves to get down that left-hand side. That's where they scored the 3rd goal from. They continue to break down there, put the ball into the box, and Traore misses an absolute sitter. How he misses it is beyond me. It's harder to miss. It's an absolute sitter. But ultimately he misses it either way, and we get away with it. He hits the bar, rattles the bar with it, and we get away with it. And we, you know, again, I don't want to say we avoid embarrassment, because I was embarrassed watching that yesterday. And over the last 2 weeks, we've watched Everton performances. Sorry, not 2 weeks. Over the last week, 2 games, we've watched Everton performances where Gary Neville have commentated on one, and Jamie Carragher have commentated on the other. And whether you like those two people or not, certainly Jamie Carragher, I don't like Jamie Carragher whatsoever. Whether you like them or not, they've got everything they've said, they've got it spot on. Jamie Carragher screamed at Gylfi Sigurdsson at one point yesterday to play the ball forward, because every time he got the ball, he'd turn round and he'd pass it back to the defence. Now, what we've seen, our most creative players over the last 3 games have been the defence and Anthony Gordon, and then obviously excluding the two up front, the defence and Anthony Gordon. And the reason for the defence being is because they look at the midfield and they think, what is the fucking point of me passing to you if I'm only going to receive it back? I may as well just cut you out completely and go to whoever's forward. And like you said, taking a positive from yesterday, Anthony Gordon, I thought, played really, really well. Looks a top player for the future. Really, really does. Fantastic young talent. Jared Bramley done okay when he come on as well. I'm not going to go through all of the substitutions because obviously I went through them in the play ratings yesterday. Anyway, let's get into the live comments now. Sorry it's taking me nearly 40 minutes. We will get into them. Ewan says Everton need to drop Jordan Pickford. I agree. He also says Everton linked with McKenzie. Yeah, I'd like him. I would like him from Schalke, of course. Whether he'd sign or not, I don't know, but I'd like him. Dodgepick says, don't get too carried away, Cam. This team doesn't deserve an emotional attachment. Well, it's tough. It's tough, isn't it? Because we do get carried away, and watching performances like that it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable, and I'm gonna do a video about Marcel Brands and about this summer transfer window and how key this summer transfer window is. I don't know when it'll be going up, but I'm gonna do it. It'll be going up before the end of the season. It'll be going up before the last game of the season. And I'm just gonna sit down in the video and I'm just gonna talk about what we need this summer, how we need to spend clever, and how the recruitment needs. We can't just go out there. We'll talk about the financial fair play situation in that video, and obviously the whole Manchester City situation. But I want to talk about how it's not just a case of going out there and spending another 150, 200 million. It's more a case of spending cleverly. You know, look at Idrissa Gana Gueye when we signed him, for example, £7 million from relegated Aston Villa side. Our best player in recent years, our most consistent player since Romelu Lukaku left. You know, it's not about going out and spending 200 million on 3 midfield players. It's about going out and buying the right players. Recruitment is key, absolutely key. Look at the teams that I've just mentioned before that are doing well. Burnley, Sheffield United. Recruitment is absolutely key. Mitchell says, yeah, you got to give it to Wolves. Their streets ahead. You've got to give it to Wolves. Sorry, their streets ahead of Everton. They are, mate. Their leagues ahead of Everton, and you know, Everton should be looking at Wolves thinking that's the level we want to be at. I think we're two and a half years away from Wolves, to be honest with you, which means I think we're 3.5 years away from a top 4 finish. I really do. I think this isn't going to be fixed in one transfer window by Carlo Ancelotti. I think he needs 3 or 4 transfer windows to really, really fix this mess. But ultimately, you're right. Abigail says, I don't know if I can cope with watching Everton or look for their results anymore until we get a team that gives a shit about the club. I'll only keep Dom, Dean, Richie, Holgate and Gordon. Fair enough. Listen, I will be watching all of the games, and we'll be doing the instant match reactions, and we'll be doing the reviews and the previews and all that. Even though I sit here and say I can't be arsed with it, I will still be covering all of the games because that's what we do on the Mighty Blues, of course. But I'm with you. I've just got no energy. I just don't. Again, all of that excitement that you should be having when you wake up and Everton are playing and you think, oh my god, it's match day, Everton are playing. It just gets drained out of you because you just think about the recent performances and you think, how can you be excited about that? Sonny says, alright Cam, alright mate, I'm not doing too bad, hope you're well. She says, awful game yesterday, need to finish the season strongly. If we didn't concede the penalty, the game could have been completely different at half time. Exactly, listen, it could have been, and listen, at the end of the day, you know, the penalty was a changer in the game, and I think every Evertonian knew that as soon as we give away that penalty, it was pretty much game over by them, because we didn't look at any point in the game, even in the first 42, 43 minutes, whatever it was, like we were going to score, or like we were going to get into the game, or like we were going to win, but we looked like, okay, we might just hold these out here, and we may take a point, which isn't great. And I've seen a lot of people again criticise Carlo Ancelotti and say, oh, we're defensive, it's too defensive, it's like Sam Allardyce. What do you expect when the man is working with utter dross? Give Carlo Ancelotti 3 transfer windows, and if we're still playing like that, question him. question why the tactics are that way, question why the team are performing like that. But I refuse to blame Carlo Ancelotti for any of the tactics that he uses, because he's playing with players that have been employed by other managers under other regimes in other situations. Now, if Carlo Ancelotti sets Everton up to attack teams and to go at teams from the off, we'd get beaten nearly every game because we're not good enough to do it and we haven't got the energy to do it. So I wasn't totally opposed to sitting back and frustrating Wolves and maybe trying to take a point out of yesterday's game, no matter how boring it was. Again, I don't care as long as the result's better for Everton. But as soon as we conceded that penalty, you felt like, right, okay, this is probably game done and dusted now. Cal says, I'm just waiting till the summer. Bernard Davis, Pickford, Gylfi and Moise Kean have to go. I don't know about Moise Kean. I think it's a bit harsh. He hasn't had an opportunity. Again, Moise Kean's another player. Look, you know, we'll talk about the remaining 3 games in a second, but I think Moise Kean's another player that he has to start now. He just has to start for the remaining games of the season. There's no reason why he shouldn't. Give Dominic Calvert-Lewin a rest. Even give Richarlison a rest. We're not fighting for anything. We're not playing for anything. There's no need to play these players. If you're enjoying, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It means a massive amount to me. Big thanks to everybody in the live comments. 64 people watching live. Massive thank you to everybody. Massive thanks to everybody that's recently subscribed as well. Underground says Michael Keane probably needed the rest because he has started every game with that midfield. He does need the rest, he does, but he's not going to get a rest until Mason Holgate returns to fitness. Carlo Ancelotti spoke earlier today and said that he hopes Mason Holgate will return for the Villa game. But, you know, again, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Abigail says Rodriguez had an offer from us but isn't convinced by it. I'm not surprised he's not convinced by it, to be honest. I'm not convinced by it. If Everton offered me a contract, I wouldn't be convinced by it, judging on that yesterday. Where are we? Sonny says Callum Moise-Kean hasn't had the chance properly yet. Obi starts for the last 3 games to prove himself. I agree. That guy says one thing I do love about having a top class manager is there's no excuses for the players. If they're playing badly, we can now tell very easily who should be playing for this club and who shouldn't. You're spot on. That guy also says think Moise has had plenty of chances. I just think he doesn't give a shit. Maybe. Where are we? Wayne says hi everybody. Craig says would you take Mings from Villa? Not for how much you want for him, mate. Definitely not. I'd take Grealish though. Now Matchroom says sack Marcel Brands now, we will finish us off. Interesting take on things. We like I said, we're going to sit down at one point before the end of the season, definitely before the transfer window, and we'll talk about Marcel Brands. We're going to talk about whether or not, you know, his recruitment's been good so far. And again, I've seen a boss tweet about Marcel Brands today. I'm not going to say it in this team. I'll say it in the video that I'll probably record within the next couple of days. But it said something along the lines of, you know, Marcel Brands so far has recruited for previous managers who have used previous systems. Let's judge Marcel Brands for me this summer when he's recruiting for Carlo Ancelotti using his system. Because I tell you what, Carlo Ancelotti will outlive any of these players at Everton Football Club, including your top stars, and he'll outlive the director of football. So it's about time that they start playing for Carlo Ancelotti and the staff start working for Carlo Ancelotti. Maybe just hardly like Keane can do much with a midfield that goes backwards. Yeah, listen, I think whereas with Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, you've got 2 players who will genuinely get about the pitch and genuinely work very, very hard and you know, we'll try and create for each other and we'll try and create opportunities for themselves. I don't think Moise Keane's that type of player, and it's not his job to do that, to be perfectly honest with you. But I just don't think he's that type of player. I think Moise Keane's more relies on players with creativity around him to create for him, and then he plays off that, which we just simply haven't got. So I don't think we're going to see the best out of Moise Keane until we get that creative player in the squad. I really don't. Rim says on a positive, City have just proven that you can buy your way out of an FFP ban, so just sign whoever we need. I said it in the instant match reaction, fuck FFP off. Just don't. And by fuck FFP off, I don't mean go out and spend 250 million on utter dross who don't fit the team again, just to spend 250 million. We could probably spend 100 million and massively improve this squad. We could probably spend 50 million and massively improve this squad, or we could spend another 500 million and get nowhere. We've spent 500 million odd since Macheri's come into the football club, and we're no better than we were 500 million pound ago. We're not. That's the fact. We're not. So ultimately, it's about spending clever. It's about recruitment and the right recruitment, not just blasting money at players for the sake of it. Patriotic Pats fan says, will Everton never get in the Europa League? We will. I don't know when, but we will. Mitchell says, Pickford has never been any good. England's #1 means nothing. Look at Joe Hart. Dotpick says, well said. Wimmy says, hit the like, guys. Support the channel. Thank you very much, Wimmy. Paul says, just get the season over with. Start again. Redevelop the team. Get the ground plans around. Get a boss captain and Pope in. I'd love Nick Pope, but I don't think he'd come in. And you're right. I just can't wait for this season to be over. Faz says, we need 7 outfield and a goalkeeper in the next 2 windows. Is that possible, though? Is that realistic? Again, like I said, I was very much of a goalkeeper isn't a key position and that we shouldn't focus on it until the midfield sorted, and I still think that. I still think the midfield, like I said it as a joke a couple of weeks ago, I think Everton should be looking at bringing new midfielders in before we look at bringing in new pies for next season, before we look at bringing in new tape for the players' socks for next season. We should be looking at bringing in new midfielders before anything. But again, if Jordan Pickford doesn't get his head down and start to change his attitude, then I potentially will be looking at replacing him. Mitch says, I hate that shell cam about refs. It's an unpopular job. You're always going to get stick no matter what. You watch other leagues, the refs are mad. Serie A in La Liga, they blow it up every 5 minutes. Again, I'm not blaming the ref for yesterday. I'm not in any way blaming the ref for yesterday. Everton was shocking. Everton were absolutely atrocious. We were dreadful. We were embarrassing. I'm not blaming Anthony Taylor. I'm saying that for those fans saying that the penalty was dubious or there was little contact or it shouldn't have been a penalty, I'm saying that in this league that is always going to be given. And I actually thought it was a penalty. Again, I'm not sticking up for Everton there, but I thought it was a penalty. Abigail says, Marcel's defence, we offered 25 million for a Valencia defender. He wanted money, but they want 30 million. We said no. The president came and and said last week they're now struggling to sell. We wanted Salah, but he wanted an Arsenal move. Yeah, well, maybe again. But, you know, again, I think all of the Hollywood signings that we're being linked to your James Rodriguez, your Coutinho, your Allens, I think we need to start sort of just not worrying about them now and look at players that are actually going to improve this squad. Where are we then? Paul says, do you have a sponsor? Do you sponsor a show? I don't sponsor a show, mate, and we have no sponsors for this show. It's just me and Jess, who does the socials as well. Uden says, is anyone getting the new kit this Friday? I don't know if I get it this Friday, mate, to be honest. I probably would have 2 weeks ago when it was released, but watching those performances, I'm not sure. Connor says, it would be decent if he weren't smiling after the mistakes, at least pretend to be arsed. Exactly. Abigail says, I play Ellis the next few games and in the pre-season and most of the 23s. Me too. Connor says, spot on, mate. Paul says, what fucking midfield? Worst I've seen in decades at Everton. I agree. James says, hi Cam. Lucky we got Carlo and Dunk when we did. We would have gone down. Who knows? He's got to go. I was going to tweet that out, actually. Funny you should say that. I was going to tweet that out yesterday. But I didn't want to bring unnecessary hate on Marco Silva, but I honestly do feel that if we still had Marco Silva in charge of this football club, we would be fighting relegation now. I honestly do feel that your results, you only have to look at the results that Carlo Ancelotti picked up for Everton. Newcastle away, Watford away, Burnley at home. Again, that's 3 games, that's 9 points that I can think of that we probably wouldn't have got under Marco Silva. Palace at home probably wouldn't have won under Marco Silva. So again, I can't help but feel if Marco Silva was still in charge, again, nothing against him, we would be in a relegation fight now. Richie says, hello mate, loving your change of heart, Pickford. He needs to change his attitude massively, he really, really does. Where he says Pickford's still not our main issue though, it's our unicorns. Don't get me wrong, Pickford isn't the main issue. He's not the main issue in this team. The midfield is the main issue. The midfield is absolutely dreadful. Utterly dross, mate. In fact, there is no midfield. Our midfield players are not midfielders. Tom Davies isn't a central midfielder. Gylfi Sigurdsson isn't a central midfielder. I don't know what the fuck they are, but they're not central midfielders. And again, it showed that yesterday, so I agree. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit the like button, see if we can get to 40 likes before we end the stream. Anyway, we'll get back into the live comments briefly in just a moment. Let me just discuss the remaining 3 games of the season then. So, look, Everton line up against Aston Villa. On Thursday, we then play Sheffield United and Bournemouth in the last 2 games of the season. So in the last 3 games of the season, we've got 2 sides fighting relegation and we've got a side fighting to get into the top 4. Can anybody be arsed, realistically? I'm asking this now, honest, again, not to joke, not to have a laugh, honest. In the live comments now, if you're watching live, if you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. How many points do you see us picking up in them remaining 3 games? Because I honestly think we'd be lucky to pick up 1. I think this Everton side coming up against an Aston Villa fighting for their survival, even a poor Aston Villa team fighting for the survival, we haven't got the backbone, we haven't got the heart, we haven't got the bollocks, we haven't got the desire, we haven't got the want, so we probably won't win that game. Very similarly with the Bournemouth game again, but maybe a little bit different with the Bournemouth game because they may be relegated at that point, or they may be mathematically safe at that point, so it might be a little bit different. The Sheffield United game, I don't see us getting anything out of. So I honestly think that the next 3 games are just going to be like watching to just watch for watch's sake and getting the season over and done with, and then sort of coming into next season, you know, with a different hat on and looking forward to the transfer window. I honestly can tell you now for a fact, I'm just sitting here waiting for the transfer window now. I'm just looking forward to the transfer window, because I'm not looking forward to the last 3 games of the season. I'm really not. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, of course. Blue Boy Network says, great job, thank you very much, mate. James with 2 midfielders at least. We know we get it right this time. Spot on. Underground says, Richarlison should play on the wing. He drags players with him, creating space, and Benny in the centre. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that, mate. I wouldn't mind that. Tuesday says Dean gave up on a couple of plays and just stood there and watched. I'm not surprised. He probably couldn't be arsed like the rest of them. James says, hard work gets results. We've got nothing in us. One thing I love about Everton is we fight together, but how we can keep watching that, they have to back Carlo or get fucked. I agree. James says, us for swearing Cam, no worries. TS Wrestling 2 says, proper shit Cam with a laughing stock, mate. Don't know what to do. Don't know what we are going to do. Yeah, me too, mate, me too. James says still love the club regardless, but these ambitions need to start this window with the manager. Me too, mate, me too. I love the club as well, but you're right. Joe says, what state are we in at the moment? Keep the content coming through, Cam. Thank you very much. We will do. We've got loads of content. We'll have the game review, game preview to the Villa game on Wednesday, then instant match reaction, player ratings on Thursday, review on Friday, hopefully, and then the preview for the remaining couple of games of the season and all of that stuff. The content will be coming in thick and fast. Like I said, we're going to do that video on Marcel Brands as well very soon. Tuthi said Alex Iwobi, 1 goal, 0 assists, 24 appearances. He's not good enough. That's simply it. He's not good enough and he doesn't fit this system, and if he doesn't fit this system, sell him. Because there's absolutely no point in having a player that doesn't fit the system for the sake of having him because he fit a previous system. If Alex Iwobi doesn't fit what Carlo Ancelotti wants to play, then sell him. That's my opinion. Where are we then? Patrick says, pick one for next season, Iwobi or Balassi. Me. Southern Wrestling Association says, love what you're doing here. Best of luck. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And Alex says, you can have no defence and still be good. You have no attack and still be good. But if you have no midfield, you'll always be shite. Spot on. And we're going to leave it at that. Look, a very poor performance by Everton yesterday. Another dreadful performance has seen us get beaten once again quite heavily by a team that are much better than us. Like I said, Wolves just had a field day yesterday. They embarrassed us. It was very easy for them. We made it tough in the first sort of 42 minutes. You know, we made it tough for them to break through us. We made it tough for them to create any clear-cut opportunities. But ultimately, as soon as they got that penalty and we had to attack and we had no choice other than to sort of get at them, they found it very easy to just play through us. They found it very easy to just break us down, and ultimately they caught us, and they caught our lack of energy, our lack of pace, our lack of desire, our lack of want. And like I said, every one of those Everton players, barring probably Anthony Gordon, maybe Luca Dean, maybe, I don't know. The subs, a couple of the subs, because they didn't really have much to do. They should be leaving that pitch with their head in their hands, seriously thinking about whether they want to play for this football club or not. And if they're only here for the payday, if they're only here for the sake of it, fuck off. I don't want you here. I really don't want you here. And that's going to do it for today's live stream. Like I said, a dreadful performance yesterday. I'm not confident going into the next 3 games. But, you know, we'll review them and we'll preview them and we'll do all that good stuff, obviously, on the channel. Don't forget to join us Wednesday, 5:15. We will be previewing our Premier League fixture against Aston Villa on Thursday. Of course, we'll then have the instant match reaction player ratings on Thursday, straight after the game. And like I said, we'll hope to have that video regarding Marcel Brands and regarding the transfer window. I hope to have that recorded and uploaded very soon as well. Hopefully before the preview to the Sheffield United game, so look out for that one. Robbie says, the lack of stones shown by a good few of these balls, I'll say, shown by a good few of these senior players. I would chuck a few kids in next to what they have. Branthwaite, Virginia, Benny and Keane, give them all a go. I agree. Joe says, most of them players look like they're just there for easy wages. You're spot on. Gary says, need 4 midfielders, 3 horses, and a skillful player who can break down a defence. I agree, spot on. Simon says, these performances shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. After the FA Cup game, we knew that these players aren't good enough. I agree. James says, the players have no pride. I'd love to play under Carlo Ancelotti. I know there are players that play, but it bugs me how many. It's shocking. I agree. Alex says, Balassi owes him a shirt. If you're watching, Yannick, give Alex a shirt. You can see about the toffees and see it on Wednesday night. Thank you very much. Frankie says, my midfielder's priority. I don't feel his leadership. Seamus says the right things to press, but on the pitch, it's way too nice as captain. I expect more great servants. He's been. What are your thoughts on his leadership? Spot on, spot on. Not enough leaders in the team, mate, and he definitely doesn't bring the leadership that he needs. Richard says, hi Cam, Wolves fan. He was really surprised at how flat and lacklustre your lads looked yesterday. I think you need to stick with Ancelotti and completely rebuild to be challenging again. I agree, Richard. I agree. You're spot on. If you enjoyed the stream, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It really, really does mean a massive, massive amount to me. If you're new to the channel, like I said, don't forget to subscribe. Flying towards 2,000 subscribers now, so a massive, massive thanks to everybody for the support. We'll be back on Wednesday, 5:15, with the live game preview to the Aston Villa game. Again, I'm not confident, but hopefully we can bounce back and hopefully we can take advantage of their poor form for the majority of this season and not allow them to play like they did yesterday against Crystal Palace. Toothy says, Padon went down like he got shot in the back. He did, but he ran the game yesterday. He ran us right yesterday. Williams said, take care, thank you very much. James says, Thiago Silva, I would get as much too. Cheers, Cam, lad. Have a good one. Thank you very much. It was a good work. Thank you very much, James. Frankie says, take care, Cam, stay safe. Thanks, Cam, take care. Thank you very much, Frankie. And James says, need a leader and help Carlo. I agree, spot on. I agree. So there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Big thanks to everybody for watching live. Really, really do appreciate it. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comments. Look, another shocking performance from Everton Football Club. Like I said at the start of the season, just end the season now. Let's just get the season over and done with and then move on, because that really wasn't good enough, was it? Let's be honest. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed. We'll be back on Wednesday, 5:15, for another video. Thank you all very, very much, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.